Hey guys, Josh back with another video, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial, more or less, on PioSolver. So I think it was about 6 months ago, maybe more. PioSolver came out with Pio 2, which is just the second version of PioSolver, the original PioSolver. Um, and we're just going to discuss, some of the features, how PioSolver works, and a friend texted me this afternoon and asked me if he could show him some of the ropes in Pio, um, and I just felt extra motivated today to help this guy out. So I couldn't give it to him one on one, so I'm just gonna make a tutorial video. So we'll just do it this way. Um, so we'll start with the bare basics. We'll run through this pretty quick. If you use Pio, it's pretty easy to figure out the broad pot stacks, tree building stuff. So over here you can pre-save configurations for running sims. I'm not very good about saving them because uh really really it's just I'm irresponsible. But uh typically when I run new sims, I just like pull up an old sim and then just like rebuild the tree how I want it. But I really should be better about like saving tree parameters over in this menu. Um and it makes it much easier just to like click and like have a tree already made for you. Um you can have a bunch of different trees and then just like slightly modify to exactly how you want it. So yeah, the thing with Pio is like when you're building a tree, you you have to put in bet and raise sizes strictly in percentage, or well, not strictly, but like in percentages of the pot. But this is you're not limited to this. There's several different ways you can do this. So maybe instead of this, so like you can see down here. So this is small blind versus button 3-bet pot. Um, so this is if the small blind 3-bet to 11.5 big blinds and the button calls at 100 big blinds effective. This would be like a pretty comprehensive tree for that. Um, let's say instead of like all these different small array sizes, you just wanted to give it like a you know a click size and maybe like more of a normal array size, right? You could just give it so remember the PFR is out of position here, so we'd be giving array sizes to in position. Um and so we could do you know uh like a normal array size, maybe like 33% of the pot, because remember it's a 3-bet pot. But we could also give it like like a click size, maybe like 2.2x the bet size. Um, and so now, if we look, we now have this 2.2x size, and then we have like a third pot resize. So that's how you do that. There's several different notations. Sorry, excuse me. Um, so the other notation you can use is like uh, notating in terms of chips. So say you wanted out of position in a pot of 240 to bet like I don't know 80 chips, like a third of the pot, right? So you could say 80C. That's how you notate that. And then if you wanted in position to have a raise to say like 250, then you do a 120 chip raise. Yeah, and that would be valid. Um, gonna have it build the tree just to verify. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, so you can see the tree has like this 80 chip bet size. I'm sorry, I'm still just recording one singular window. Um, let me Okay, let's try this. So now that we have all these options, we can click like preview tree. Uh, and this will give you like an overview of the tree. You can like check the bet line, or check the check line and then check the bet line. So in the bet line, you can see we have a raise of 120 chips. It should be a raise to 200, right? So we have that. And then we have the raise to a third of the pot, which is up here. And then we have like a 2.2x raise, which is 176. So this looks exactly how we would want it. So there's all these different notations you can use. And then there's one more, which is it's notated E, which just means geometric over X number of streets. So if you give it like a 2E raise size, it would be a raise size to make it geometric over two streets. So say you give it 2E, preview tree, and then now you have this 328 raise size. So when so then it would be able to jam the turn in a geometric fashion from the flop in terms of percentage of the pot, which is pretty cool, I think. Um, yeah. So then down here, yeah, there's the line editor, which basically you can just put all of these different notations into the line editor. Say, here, I'm gonna go back up here and just give it like 25, 66, 100, and then I'll just give it like 28, and then 38, 50, something like that. And then down here you can edit all of these different lines. So say like just to like cut down on RAM requirements and like hardware requirements, you just wanted to take out. You just wanted to, uh, filter out some of the small bet sizes that probably aren't going to be used. Like say this is like Ace King X or whatever, or like some Ace High board. It would be pretty logical to take out the small bet size for imposition. Um, if you've looked at these sims before, these sims on like Broadway textures or double Broadway textures for these 3-bet pot spots, you would know that imposition typically doesn't use a small bet size that often, so you could take out the small size, specifically on like king and ace high boards, and then just double Broadway boards. On the queen high, jack high boards, imposition will typically use a smaller size at least some of the time, so I'd leave that in there. But sometimes you just like want to take out the small bet size, so you could just go you could just click through and click check bet 60, and then you could just click remove selected line, and then it will automatically write out the syntax for you here, and then save and close, and then now the line is removed. And then see what else. Yeah, there's also the force range bet. You could force out of position to range bet, which all it does is remove the check line. So whatever sizes you give it, it can still use any of those bet sizes. It just can't use the check line. And then there's a similar option for imposition where you force out of position to check, and then you force imposition to bet. Um, and so if you click this, and then you look at the tree, now out of position doesn't have any bet sizes. And then if you click force out of position bet, now you can see out of position does not have a check line. So that's sort of the overview of the tree building. Now we can talk about some other features. Um, so as far as what do I want to talk about first? Yeah, so you can do scripting in Pio, which is the ability to run multiple sims without having to build multiple trees. And how you do this? Say you wanted to run this tree over a subset of like multiple flops. You just click add to the job queue, and then you would have some directory that you would want to save the solves to. You type that direct you type that directory in here. Note that whenever you type a directory in, the folder should not exist yet. Uh, so make sure you just select some folder, and then whenever you give uh, IO some directory, it's going to create that folder. Um, so note that, and then yeah, you set the precision here, and then yeah, so in Pio you can select any of the different algorithms. So there's two different algorithms Pio uses. One is the original Pio algorithm, um, and then there's the PioCFR, which is the counterfactual regret algorithm that Pio is most recently using, as far as I know. But counterfactual regret is typically the um, the most efficient algorithm on the solver market currently. Um, as far as I mean, I'm not too involved in the software engineering space nowadays. I used to be, but yeah, I'm not too involved. I'd be interested to get some comments from some other computer science guys if they know more about this than I do. But as far as I know, yeah, CFR is generally the most efficient algorithm on the market. There's uh, deep CFR, also known as DCFR. Um, but I don't exactly know what the difference is. I have a pretty good understanding of what counterfactual regret is, considering I've read multiple papers on it. But as far as deep CFR, don't know exactly what the difference is. So if there's some informative takes on that, I would appreciate that in the comments. But moving on. So, and move on to this. Now that we've yeah, so we can discuss adding and removing lines. I mean, I think I discussed that enough, but all the notation you use in here applies to these tree builder menus. So just as an example, you can say uh if you want to add like a 10% and then like a 4x raise, you could say bet 10 raise 4x, and then it would add this and then a raise 4x, you know, sort of thing. And then, if you wanted to remove a line, you could say check, bet, raise small. Say you wanted only like big raise sizes, you could remove line and say remove check, bet 25. So 60 is the 25. Or you could say like 60 chips, right? Check, bet 60 chips. Um, raise 28. So that's the small raise size. And then it would remove this small size. Oh, check. check bet the small raise size. So remove the small raise size. Check bet raise 28. Yeah. So uh oh no. It's 35 would be the small raise size for out of position. So yeah, okay. So then it removes the small raise size for out. Take it out. So hopping into the actual tree, let's pull up same file again. So there's a bunch of different features in Pio you can use. So here we have so just going through the different buttons here. I mean the important ones. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, but so we have a compare actions button. This would be just it gives more definition to like what hands are doing in different lines. Um, so you could say like in this line we have like 60, half, 3/4. So let's select like half and 3/4. Um, so here we have the expectation of a given hand in each line. So pocket sixes, which would be quads on this board, do slightly better. So you can see in the top or in the bottom right, you can see like the one combo of sixes does slightly better in the small bet size than in the big bet size. I think makes sense. And then we have this strategy and react button. And this, so on the top, we have the default strategy in this node, right? So if you look at the top half of every hand, it shows the strategy in the given node. However, in the bottom half, it shows the strategy um, given a given line. So, you know, Ace King suited, we have um, this default to what is this? It's mostly three-quartering. Yeah. So it's mostly three-quartering the flop. And then you know, in this 3/4 line, the bottom half of this grid is showing what would happen in a different line. So you know, like facing a raise. So say we 3/4 with Ace King suited, face a small raise, and so now Ace King suited is like uh just three bet jamming the flop a lot. And so it's three bet jamming. Let's see how often. About 72% of the time with like Ace King of spades, right? Um, so if we go to the strategy and react button, so you can see Ace King suited. If you look in the say just look at like Ace King of spades in the bottom left, you can see that in the portion that the big size takes up for Ace King of spades, that on the bottom half, the raise takes up most of the react line. So the bottom half of every hand would be the react line to any given line. Um, so yeah, facing a small raise, Ace King would yeah be three bet jamming the flop most of the time. That's just an example. And then facing a bet, yeah, we have this going on. Um, It's not too important. You can figure that part out for yourself, but we'll go into some other features. Yeah, so here you can view the different ranges. Here you can view the equities for in position and out of position, EV here and here. Um, and then here you can this is actually kind of a fun feature. You can pick different combos of hands and see how your opponent's strategy changes based on your holding. This is fun to see like how exactly your hand makes it into one line or the other. Like sometimes your hand really wants to just um check because it really benefits from a check raise. So when you hold a certain hand, your opponent bets more often. So you can like let's see, check and then say here like out of position has ace king of clubs, and you click on, and it slightly shifts the frequencies. So you can see, like, okay, if we have ace king of clubs and you click on, your opponent bets slightly more often, right? And so these sorts of things you can, like, if you're really at a loss for why a hand might want to do one thing over the other, you can sort of plug some combos into this feature and figure out how it changes your opponent's strategy. It's actually kind of a cool feature, but yeah, moving on. So yeah, I'm not going to go into every single detail, but I definitely want to cover the big ones. Let's see what else. We have the yeah, just in tools, the ones I use the most often. I don't use any of the ICM stuff just because I'm not really a tournament player, but here we have jobs. These are just the scripts we're running where you run multiple sims at a time. So here you can see I ran a button versus small blind 4-bet pot script, and I saved it to a specific external directory under the address 4-bet pot backslash PioSolver backslash button versus small blind, and it ran 102 flops, and then I specified the exploitability. Yeah, so I have a bunch of different jobs there. And then see what else. We have the GTO trainer, which is great. That's beyond the scope of this video, but I typically, in short, I just use the trainer to find spots that I might be lacking. I definitely don't use it to do like most of my studying or anything. The best part about like play versus solutions or like trainers is that you can find spots that you feel uncomfortable with, and then you do studying like on your own outside of the trainer. But definitely don't use the trainer to like do the studying per se. But it is nice to have the trainer so you can just if you have some downtime and you want to do some studying and you're not really sure what to do, you can just hop into a spot and then quickly find a spot that you're uncomfortable in, and then do some drilling or do some studying. So it is nice for that. So um, yeah, and then within this you can specify if you want to be in position, out of position, number of tables, and then you can specify the node you want to drill. So this would be like small blind versus hijack 3-bet pot, and maybe you want to like do the term probe. You want to study like the term probe line, right? You just specify check check, and then out of you'd specify that hero is out of position, and then it would just load up a table for you. Yeah, so moving on to some of the other features. Uh, some of the really nice. So a recent implementation or a recent update to PioSolver 2 was the new node locking um, feature. So they still have the old Pio node locking feature available. Um, see, we'll just do a brick and then um, I think it's rebuilding the turn tree because I don't have the entire tree saved. So yeah, so here we have um, basically how it did it, and the old version of PioSolver was you could specify like which combos and how often you would want each to go into each line. Check bet 10, bet quarter, bet half, bet three quarters, etc. Um, and then yeah, so but it's a lot cleaner in the new update where um, you can specify a class of hands. Say you want say you want like an overpair to you want to force out of position to check an overpair um, less often, right? So you could like click the uh, overpair box here, and then you click OK, and then it will select all of the combos of overpairs here, and then you can just modify those frequencies down here. Um, what you have to do first is uh, unlock all to make sure that you're able to modify the hands you want to modify, and then um, here say you want these your selection to um, check less often. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, I see. I see. Because tens doesn't get to turn in this line, but actually, let's do half call and then deuce and then yeah. So now we could say select over pairs and click OK, and then you could say check frequency. Instead of 42, scale it down to like 25. Um, yeah, and then click. So if over here, if you click lock, it's locking your specific selection. So here it would lock the over pairs to bet at exactly 75% frequency. Um, but it will still let the rest of the range do it, like modified strategy to um, avoid exploitability. So what you want to do in the vast majority of cases is click lock all, so that it locks the entire strategy and not just the overpairs. Very easy to miss this part, and it ends up fucking up your node lock sim a decent bit. Uh, and then you just click save and close, and then um, you can just come back over here and then just click go. I'm not going to do that because it's going to take a minute, but yeah. And then okay, see what else. Yeah, so moving on to some Turner River features. So here under the analysis tab, we have so there is the range explorer, and you can sort of sift through density of like different classes of hands, which sort of help you suss out why uh, a line in a given node might be significantly more passive or aggressive. Um, like, in some instances, in position will have like tons of straights that out of position doesn't. So out of position will check a bunch and those sorts of things. Um, and yeah, so like here on the ace, after we bet half on this board, you might say, okay, well, out of position has like out of position is betting like a decent bet on this board. Why might out of position be checking so much on this board? Um, so then you could just go to Range Explorer. You see like out of position has 32% top pair, and then if you click change player, it shows the density of each hand class for the in position player. You can see like, oh, in position has 38% top pair. So that would, and not to mention they have all the boats and trips and quads that out of position doesn't have nearly as often. Um, so those sorts of things would help you sort of parse out those strategies. And then in the runouts EV comparison, there's several different things you can do with this window. So firstly would be the strategy button. And so what this does is after you select a flop node, so after it goes uh so after you select the flop node or the flop line bet half call and you select a turn card, then you can select uh, runouts EV comparison. And then if you click strategy, uh, it will show the strategy in this node for every turn card. So this is small line versus button 3-bet pot. So we see on a 10 that out of position is strictly range betting. On a king, out of position is strictly range betting, and then every other card there's some sort of frequency of checking. So here, you can go to out of position, in position equity, and we can see on the king and the 10 that out of position has a significant equity boost. Just a quick side note on this board, small blind versus button 3-bet pot. The 10 is sort of the one card where imposition does not float many hands with a 10 in it. Like if we look, imposition doesn't have ace 10 off. They're holding a lot of like 10x suited, like jack 10, queen 10, 10 9, 10 8. Whereas out of position is betting a lot of these hands. So once the 10 comes on the turn, it's just a very, very favorable card for out of position. Um, so just a fun thing there. See what? Yeah. So um, yeah, I haven't used the run out analysis much. I'm probably not the guy to ask there. There's also see there's you can subtree. Subtreeing in Pio is really nice actually. So what subtreeing is just selecting a given line and say like when you built the original tree, you were just like trying to cut down on RAM, so you just gave it like a a 1/3 and like a 75 piece size on the turn, and you just wanted to add in some more sizes. So what you could do um, is you would select a turn node like 120 or half pot call, and then say you wanted to select the jack. So then you could do create subtree configuration. So here it selects the ranges that get to the turn for both players. So this is the in position range, and this is the out of position range. And then so here you would just select the turn and river strategies for each player, and it will input those, and then just run a tree simply consisting of turn and river on 665 jack, and then it would sim over all of the different rivers. So this is actually really nice if you wanted to get some real precision in terms of bet sizing or raise sizes or whatever else. So is there any other Yeah, so there's like some hotkeys you can use, like rank up. You could push like control up, which would select a rank up or down. So you just push control and then you use the arrow keys. And then to select a different different rank, you use control side key. So like a side arrow. So you just push control left and then it would select the jack of spades and then same thing here. Um, so yeah. Uh, I think that's most of the big ones. If you guys have any questions on any specific features, feel free to let me know in the comments. Um, so yeah, hope this helps. Thanks for watching.